Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you find the information helpful, please share it with a friend. So this video is being done by request. A woman named Samantha from Staten Island asked the question, why is it that she has so few friends? And she says that she's the type of person who is able to spot bullcrap, to spot her BS detector is on fleek, so to speak. So she spots when someone is trying to run game on her quickly. And Samantha, that is probably the reason why, which lends itself to the title, 6 Reasons Why Highly Discerning People Have Few Friends and They Keep Their Circles Small. And so whenever you are a highly discerning person, you call it the ability to smell BS. Spiritually speaking, it means that you have strong discernment, strong intuition, a strong ability to be able to judge people and situations beyond the social veneer that they present. You're able to judge people and situations well. You're able to discern for truth. You're able to decipher when something just doesn't add up. And so whenever you are a person that when you meet people, you are quickly able to hone in on that ability, you are going to have few friends because you're going to have a very clear and strong vetting process for allowing people in your life. Or the flip side, people who are coming at you with a hidden agenda, they don't mean you well, they're trying to run game on you, or they're just disingenuous. They are going to be repelled by your positive energy, right? They're going to run for cover because they're sensing that you can pick up on the fact that they are not who they say they are, or just something is off. You may not have the language for it. You might not be able to say, I can sense that you are going to lie to me on January 5th. That's not how discernment works. But it's just a little voice inside your head that will say, something don't add up about this. I don't know. I just have a gut feeling about this. I don't know about this person. They say that, they are interested in me for the right reasons, but I just feel like they're moving too fast. Something feels off about this. And so you're not going to know the exact details, like February 15th, this is exactly what's going to happen, but you will know that something is not in alignment with your spirit, that something is off base. That's how discernment works. Actually, we're going to be talking about this on Church by Phone. So for those of you who want to join us this Sunday for Church by Phone, you'll see the information in the video description box. It's every Sunday at 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You call in and you can join us. And we're going to be talking about what discernment is, how it works, and we're going to dive deep into discernment. And so let's look at 6 reasons why highly discerning people have few friends. Number 1, when you're highly discerning, you are not easily deceived by empty words. That's number 1. It becomes very hard to run game on you because you are not easily deceived by empty words. Ephesians 5, chapter 5, verse 6 in the Bible says, let no one deceive you with empty words. And so when you are discerning, right, and let's say that a person is making a big promise, they're talking a good game. Even in dating, baby, I'm going to give you the world. Baby, it's you and me against the world, and you're sensing, I don't know, there's something that's not adding up. You're saying it's me and you against the world, but I don't see the proof. There is no follow through. And so empty words, when the Bible says let no one deceive you by empty words are words that are not backed up by consistency and follow through. And so you can meet someone, who says, hey, I'm going to change my ways, but you don't see consistency and follow through. So you realize that it's empty words and you don't allow yourself to be deceived. Now, there are a lot of people who are deceived, by empty words because they want to hold on to a friendship. They want to hold on to a relationship. And they can clearly see based on history with the person that the person is not going to change their ways, at least not anytime soon. And they're giving the benefit of the doubt in a situation that may not merit the benefit of the doubt. But when you are a person who is highly discerning, you don't second guess your spirit. You don't allow your mind to talk you out of what your spirit is clearly showing you. And so you are not easily deceived by a person's words. So it's going to be really hard for someone to give you some ear candy, meaning to tell you sweet words, tell you what you want to hear, and you to be gullible. It could even be a situation where someone is trying to date you and they tell you that you are the best thing since sliced bread. You are the most beautiful woman in the world. They've never met anyone like you. And you are not a pessimistic person. You are not paranoid, but there's something in your gut that's sensing. He probably say this to every woman he meets, and it is not that serious. I am sensing that I'm being fattened up for the kill. That's what they used to call it back in the day, that someone's fattening you up for the kill. And what that denotes is when someone is saying sweet words, when they are giving you a lot of admiration, a lot of attention, they're love bombing you essentially. They're love bombing you. It's a trait that a lot of narcissists do. So the individual is love bombing you because they want to get something out of you, which is supply. It is a gift that comes with strings attached. We talked about that yesterday. And so when you're discerning, right, it's very difficult to love bomb you because you are not easily deceived by empty words. Because if someone is saying to you, you're the best person I ever met, and they've known you all of 2 days, you're going to question that. You're not going to take that at face value. That's it. You're not going to take a person's words at face value. You're going to have a line of questioning. And whenever somebody's trying to deceive you, they get very upset when you ask questions. So when you say, wow, I'm the best woman you've ever met, but we've only known each other 3 days. What exactly is it that makes me the best woman you've ever met? Well, I don't know. It's just a feeling. Why you got to question the mood? Why are you upset? Because the person just wants to get to know you and they want to get to know where you're coming from. That tells you. And so when you're highly discerning, you are not easily deceived by what a person says. You need a person's words to be backed up by truth, by consistent action. You need to know, where are you coming from? Where are you coming from? And if you're a person, once again, who is not paranoid, you're not pessimistic, you may believe in love, maybe you're single and ready to mingle, we're going to use this example, but there's something about this specific situation. So we're not saying that, with every guy you meet, you feel like, oh my gosh, you're running game on me. But there's just something about this specific interaction with this one individual where you sense that they're disingenuine and the words are empty. There's no real backing for the words, right? So when that happens, it is going to decrease the amount of people that you allow in your life because your vetting process is so strong. A second reason is when you are a discerning person, you test people's spirits. You test the spirit. You test the spirit. You don't believe everybody, which kind of, ties into number one, just because they say something. So someone can say, I'm a really honest and trustworthy person. How do you know that? You just met them Friday, and I'm a really honest and trustworthy person. And usually people who are honest and trustworthy don't need to say that because their character will tell you that. Or if you know people in common, other people will say, oh yeah, John's a good guy, Sally's a good girl, Marsha's a good woman, Bob, yeah, that's a guy that you can count on. And so they're going to, their reputation is going to speak for itself, and other people will be able to vouch for them because they would have had positive experiences with them. But if you meet someone and they're telling you one thing, you need to test the spirit. You need to test to see if that's accurate. And so this is what it says in the Bible. These are not even my words. 1 John 4:1. 1 John chapter 4 verse 1 lets us know that we are supposed to test every spirit. It says, beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits. That's what it says. Do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits. And so a lot of times if someone comes in the spirit of friendship and you are in a position where you really want someone to hang out with, someone to do cool things with, just someone to talk to, companionship, it is your responsibility to test to see if it's genuine. You got to test every spirit. Some people may come to you in the spirit of love. They may claim that they're coming to you in the spirit of love and genuine interest, but they might have ulterior motives. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being discerning. The Bible says, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. And a false prophet is not just someone who is falsely proclaiming the good news and falsely and using the Bible to their own advantage. That's not the only definition of a false prophet. It is anyone who is professing something that they are not. And so if someone is professing to care about you, to have concern, to come to you in good faith, right? But that's not really where they're coming from. They're coming with disingenuous motives. Then what they're professing is false. You might have people in your life that profess to have your back, but every time you turn around, they're trying to stab you in the back. That's being a false prophet. And so it is our responsibility not to believe every spirit. We are responsible, each individual, to make sure that a person is who they say they are, because there are a lot of people that you're going to come across who might be wolves in sheep's clothing, and it is your responsibility to vet people in your life. That's our responsibility. And so when you are a person who has a tendency to test the spirit and say, I'm just not going to let everybody run up in my life just because they want to be my friend or they have an interest, I need to know what you want and where you're coming from. I need to just know your character. Doesn't always mean that a person has an ulterior motive. A person may be really genuine, but the way that you tell that is time. And so it means that you don't give a person who you just meet access to everything. It's a slow process. So if you meet them on the Friday, they shouldn't have access to your home or your secrets, the safe deposit box, and the car keys on Sunday. That's too much. It's a slow process. You might get to know each other on the telephone. Maybe you might meet up for coffee or tea, or go for a walk together now that we're in COVID-19. But it would be a process. It wouldn't be something that you would do overnight. You wouldn't just have someone all up in every aspect of your life, because you have to test. You have to test for consistency. You have to test for character. Is this person a gossip? You don't know. You met him on a Friday. You got to test. You have to test for integrity. And that happens through the process of time. You're not going to know that overnight. You are going to know that as you spend time with them and you see them in different situations and you interact with them in different ways. And so if you are a person who just doesn't let people run up in your life because they talk a good game and they seem nice enough, you test the spirit, right? It's so interesting because there was a movie on, I believe it was Netflix, and it was called Dirty John. It was on Netflix. It was called Dirty John. And he was a narcissist. He was just something else. And he met this beautiful, successful woman. They went on a date. She brought him back to her house, and he just made himself comfortable touching stuff. He was sprawled out on the bed, and she ended up asking him to leave. And he called her maybe a couple of days later, and she gave him a second chance, and her life was a living hell with him. He was a liar, a narcissist, a sociopath. But the point is, the very first date, something was off about him. The very first date, he goes into her bedroom and he sprawled across the bed, and they know nothing about each other. There's something off about that behavior. But if you want to take it back a step further, she didn't test the spirit. She didn't know him well enough to let him in her home. She didn't know where he was coming from. And she ended up finding out that everything he told her was a lie. But had she slowed down the process and allowed herself to test to see, is this man who he says he is? Does he even work where he says he works? I know of a situation, and this is a true story, where this woman was dating this guy. And he told her that he worked in the school setting. He worked in a high school. And when they would go out, he would tell her stories of him teaching classes in the high school, stories of him breaking up fights against with high school students when they would get into fights, and how he saved the day. He would talk to her about his house. Not only did this guy not work in the school, he didn't even work in the school. He didn't work, period. He didn't work, period. He didn't have a house. Nothing he said to her was true. And he would go on dates with her, telling her these big, bold lies. And so the point I'm making is there are people in the world like this. And so for your own safety and sanity, it is your responsibility to not believe every spirit, to not take people at face value, to test every spirit. To test every spirit, right? Another reason that discerning people have few friends, they place more value on character rather than chemistry. A lot of times we will get pulled into someone's chemistry. The chemistry is great, particularly women. We're attracted to someone, the chemistry is great. We feel like we are being swept off our feet. And you can have very strong chemistry with someone that doesn't have integrity, meaning the attraction is there. You might even have some things in common. You might like the same thing, like the same basketball team. You like this basketball team? Me too. You like this football team? Me too. You like cheesecake? Me too. So you can have surface stuff in common with someone. You can have a lot of chemistry where the conversation is just flowing. And think about narcissists. They study you. So you are going to feel a great degree of chemistry when you go out with a narcissist, because they're studying your every move. Whatever you like, they like. So you're going to feel like, wow, they get me. But just because you have strong chemistry doesn't mean that you know if this person has character, integrity. Are they an honest person? Are they disingenuous? That comes with seeing them in different social situations. That comes with interacting with the person in different ways. You're interacting with them in different ways, seeing, what are their values? What are their goals? Do they respect my boundaries? And that only comes through observation and interaction. Observation and interaction. And then paying attention to what you're observing. And so when you place more value on character than chemistry, you are going to have few friends. Because you'll meet a lot of people who you click with and who you have chemistry with. But time really does reveal the character of a person. And so as you start to see certain qualities in a person, you will probably slowly back away and say, this is not going to be the right friendship fit for me, or this is not someone that I want to pursue this romantically. There's something that just doesn't gel with me. They may be a great person, but their character doesn't match my character. And so I'm going to pass. And so that's what will happen. Or it might not even be your decision. The other person may decide to just remove themselves from your life because your standard is too much. They might say, well, why you want to make a big deal about it? It was just, one little lie. It's not like I lie all the time. I just lied about that. And you're saying to yourself, if you lied about that, what else did you lie about? Well, you know what? If you're going to make such a big deal about one little lie, then we don't need to be together. We don't need to be friends. And you find that they take it to level 10 because you are simply confronting them about a story that doesn't add up. And so a lot of times you won't have to do anything. People will leave your life because they will feel that your standards are impossible. And these are just basic standards. These are basic standards in terms of wanting a friend or even someone who you're romantically interested in to be honest, to be a consistent person, to do what they say they're going to do. These are very basic things. But when a person wants to get over on you or be disingenuous or tell you one thing and do something else, they're not going to like that you hold them accountable and that you question why something is going on. So that's another reason, if you're very discerning, you were going to have few friends. But the beauty is those few friends can really be great friends. And you will go through seasons where you will meet different people who will meet different needs in your life at different times. Another reason why people who are highly discerning have few friends is that oftentimes they won't form close relationships with people who they feel are not aligned with their spirit, their values, and their goals. And so Amos 3:3 in the Bible puts it this way: can two walk together except they be agreed? And when you think about it, it's true. Because if I'm walking to 34th Street and you're walking to West 4th Street, we are walking in two different directions. And so either you got to choose to come up to 34th Street with me, or I have to choose to go backwards to West 4th Street with you. And so when you notice that the person who you are spending time with, whether it's a platonic friend or someone you're romantically interested in, is not in alignment, in agreement, they're not walking in agreement with you, meaning that your values, your mindset is not aligned, your goals are not aligned, or you're just not aligned with their energy. Their energy is not in alignment. Here's an example, real simple, right, of two walking together unless they be agreed. So if you are walking in the direction spiritually of peace of mind and no drama, and you got somebody else who's always walking into some drama, who looks to gossip and create division and discord, you're probably not going to be close friends with this individual because you're not walking in agreement. You're going in different directions. You are moving your life in the direction of peace of mind, of purpose, of focus, and of joy. And they're moving their life in the direction of gossip and drama. You're not even equally yoked. So you're not going to be walking in agreement. It's not about judging in terms of feeling that you're better than people. It is about making the determination of who is the right fit in your life. You can walk in love with everybody, right? You can walk in love with everybody, but you're not going to break bread with everybody. You're not going to have everybody in your home. But when I say walk in love, meaning you can be civil, cordial, pleasant, and even genuine to anybody you meet, right? You might meet somebody at the grocery store, but it doesn't mean after having a pleasant conversation, you're going to say, hey, come to my house right now. There has to be a vetting process. You don't know if they're a sociopath or a psychopath. And so you're going to walk in love, but that does not mean that you can spend a lot of time together, because if you are moving your life in the direction of peace of mind, and every time you go out with this individual they want to fight and get into arguments, that's not going to really work for your life and where you're trying to go. And so you could wish them well, but you're probably not going to want to spend a lot of time around someone who's constantly gossiping and constantly involved in drama if that's not what you do. If that's not what you do. And so a person who is highly discerning is not going to invest a lot of time with a person who they feel is not walking in agreement with them in terms of mindset, in terms of values, and in terms of goals, where you're trying to go, where you're trying to take your life, right? So if someone is clean and sober, this is another example, and you have a friend who used to use drugs very heavily, and you are trying to maintain your sobriety. It's not that you're judging the friend who's using drugs and still in that state, but if you're trying to maintain your sobriety, you cannot go back to the crack house. You cannot go back to places where they're serving alcohol heavily, and you can't hang out with the same people who used to do that. Not because you feel you're better than them, not because you don't care about their well-being, but because you've got to maintain your sobriety. You know that you can't afford to put yourself in environments that are incongruent with what you're trying to build and where you're trying to go with your life, right? And so the same principle applies in terms of can two walk together except they be agreed. And so a discerning person, if you're not in agreement, meaning in alignment with where they're going, what they're trying to build, and where what they value, it's not going to be worth the investment of spending a lot of time with someone. Here's another reason A highly discerning person does not put their whole trust in people. They allow people to earn their trust rather than blindly trusting people. And this is biblical. The world will say, well, you should just trust people. The Bible doesn't say that. The Bible is very clear. In Proverbs 3, verse 5, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't say trust in people with all your heart. You can trust in people with some of your heart, most of your heart, but not all your heart. You're actually supposed to guard your heart, because out of the heart flows the issues of life. And the reason why we are to trust in the Lord with all of our heart and not people is because people will fall short. How many times have you made a promise to yourself that you didn't even keep? Speaking for myself, I made a promise this morning. I promised to go on my morning walk and I didn't go yet. And so people will change their minds. And it doesn't even mean that people are coming from a bad place. It just means that nobody's perfect. None of us. No human being is perfect. We all fall short of the glory. People will lie to get themselves out of a situation that they don't want to deal with. Even if it's what we call a little lie, it's still a lie. People will make a promise and then not follow through. And if you're counting on this person, it doesn't mean that the person is a horrible person. It means we're only human. So we're not even supposed to trust people with all of our heart. Not blindly. You could trust them with some of your heart, most of your heart, but not all your heart. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, but not mankind. We all fall short of the glory. And so a person who is discerning will trust people. They trust you, but they trust you at the level of your demonstrated character. Right? They trust you at the level of your demonstrated character. And so this is a wise thing. If you're a parent, you're going to trust your children, but to an extent. To an extent. You're not going to blindly trust your children. That's not even good parenting. So if you have a teenager and you hit the lotto, it would be unwise to trust that teenager with $1 million. Not because they're a bad person. You can have a teenager who's a great teenager. They have a high degree of moral character, but they just might not be ready to be able to handle everything that comes with having $1 million. And so it is wise to exercise caution in a variety of situations. And so discerning people allow people to earn their trust. They don't blindly trust people. And so when you move like that in the world, you're not going to have 100 friends. You may know a lot of people, but your circle is probably going to be small. Even if you know hundreds of people, you might have 2 friends. And then lastly, discerning people understand the significance of knowing people by their fruit. You hear me say this all the time. Not by the length of time they've seen somebody around the neighborhood, not by whether or not they're related by blood, but by their fruit. So if they discern negative fruit, then they're not going to lie to themselves. They're going to say, this is what it is. And so that's going to keep your circle small. So if somebody shows you the fruit of envy, you're not going to pretend that that's not what it is, and you're going to deal with that person accordingly. And you're probably not going to have them close to you, because you know that when a person is jealous of you, all kind of things can emanate from that. If someone shows you the fruit of thievery, you know that they've stolen from somebody, you probably are not going to invite them to your house and leave all your valuables and say, hey, I'll be back in an hour, because you've seen the fruit of thievery. And so a person who is discerning knows people by the fruit. The Bible says you will know them by their fruit. And so when a person shows you the fruit of gossip, you might say to yourself, wow, I remember meeting somebody, and she was a very pleasant young lady. And about 10 minutes into the conversation, she was gossiping about 3 different people. And I just put in the back of my mind, okay, I'm going to be next. So she goes into the high and by category. Hey girl, how you doing? And that's the extent of the conversation. And so when you are highly discerning, as soon as you see fruit that is disingenuous or fruit that just doesn't gel with your fruit, right? Your fruit of the spirit. You see a different kind of fruit. You're probably not going to be eager to be close friends with this individual because you're going to see characteristics that just don't gel with what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. And I can't say this enough. It's not about thinking you're better than people, but when you're clear about where you're trying to go in life, what you're trying to build, and the kind of energy you want around you, you don't want a whole lot of negativity. And so that may be the reason, Samantha, particularly because you started the question with you have a high detector for BS, that you're able to read people quickly. So when you're able to read people quickly, which is discerning people, seeing beyond the social veneer that a person faces, you are going to have few friends. You're not going to have a whole lot of friends. And so my advice would be, to try to get around other people who share your similar values, who share your similar goals, who bring the same kind of energy. When you think about an eagle, right? Eagles don't hang with chickens and they don't hang with vultures. They fly solo or they fly with other eagles. And there will be seasons in our lives where we do fly solo. There are those seasons. And it won't be that way forever. But sometimes you might be in a season of cocooning. I call it cocooning when you think about when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon to emerge as a butterfly. And so when you're in that season of cocooning, where God is building certain character traits in you, developing you, preparing you for the next season of your life so that you can spread your wings and fly, so that you can begin to take off into your purpose in a more intentional way. There will be seasons where you're going to walk alone because God needs you to focus on what it is He's trying to do in your life. And so if God is trying to say, listen, you're going to be an entrepreneur, or you're going to start a women's group, or you're going to start a book reading club, or you're going to go into ministry, or you're going to go back into the neighborhood that you grew up in, and you're going to start motivating young teenagers about getting their lives together. Whatever the assignment or purpose is, it's going to be different for each person. But the more that you begin to hone in on your purpose, there will be seasons where you won't have a lot of people around you because God is preparing you for the next season of your life. And so there may be lessons you have to learn, character traits that you have to develop. When I started my ministry, a lot of you may know that I do have a ministry. We have Church by Phone, and I started Cassandra Mack Ministries 4 years ago. I lost most of my friends. And I was in a place where I was very sad. I was like, oh my gosh, why am I losing so many girlfriends, who I used to hang out with back in the day? And I had a very different lifestyle. And I'm very honest and upfront about that back in the day. And I lost most of those girlfriends. And I went through a season of feeling very alone. But when I look back now, when I see that we have a ministry that serves hundreds of people all around the world, every Sunday gather to come to Church by Phone. They gather to come to our Wednesday wellness calls. And before COVID-19, when we had live events, we had people coming in from all over, Washington, Florida. We even had a woman who came as far as came from Finland to an event that I had in New York City. And so when I see where God is taking this ministry and how He's making this ministry very unique in that it's not religious, it's not about tradition, but it is really about practical tools for navigating life with grace for everyday people who maybe have never stepped foot in a church building. It makes sense now why I had to go through a season, and it was a long season where I lost a lot of friends because there was something that God was doing in my life for the new task He had for me. And so for those of you who may be feeling lonely, like you don't have friends, like Nobody calls you anymore. Nobody checks on you. Nobody wants to be bothered with you. You're never invited to anything. You're always left out. I would encourage you to go deeper in your relationship with God and just see if it's possible that perhaps God is taking you into the next season of your greatness, the next season of your life. And he can't do that with you having a posse around you. He's got to get you alone, because there are some things he's got to pour into you. He might have to pour into you greater confidence. When I started the ministry, I was very, very self-doubtful. I was like, I can't pull this off. God, me? Like, I come from a background where I come from the hood. I come from a background where I'm more street than refined. I got to work at being refined. I come from a background where if you say the wrong thing, I'm ready to pop off. Like, you sure you calling me to minister to people? Because I don't got the temperament and the patience. This is how I felt. I felt very insecure. And if you come at me wrong, I'm ready for you. You sure you want me? But I learned that God is no respecter of persons. And he could use whoever. And so who's to say that the reason that you are alone with few friends right now and people are just falling off the wayside is because God wants to do something special with your life. God has an assignment for you, but he's got to get you away from people so that you can clearly hear from him without hearing other people's opinions intersected in what it is you're trying to build or do. You may have a business that you're trying to build, and he's got to get you away from people that's going to suck the energy out of you, because he wants to put you in a headspace where you're confident enough to take a risk. This might be a season, if you're a single parent, where he's going to give you the resources to be able to really care for your children in a way that you haven't been able to do. But he's got to get you away from people who are downing you and making you feel like you're less than. He's got to get you away from that kind of negativity so that he can begin to put you in the cocoon of grace so that you can flourish. And so I just want to encourage you that if you're going through that season, and I went through a very long season of that, years, where I felt very alone, I was sad. And when I look back, God was training me biblically. God had to be able to get me away from everyone to download in me. So what could God be downloading in you? And I'm taking this video in a different direction. Wasn't even my intention. But what could God be downloading in you that you have to be in your season of aloneness, where nobody's returning your calls, where nobody's checking on you, nobody's coming around? Instead of being angry, be open to what it is that God's doing in your life. So we took this in a different direction, and that's just where Spirit led me today. But oftentimes, as I said, the reason we have few friends is when you're highly discerning, you are going to be able to recognize game sooner. So I hope you found the video helpful. If you find videos like this helpful, and if you want to support the ministry in general, the ministry on Sundays, Wednesdays, the videos, it's all ministry to me. I ask and encourage you to please go to CassandraMacMinistries.com, and I think I also will have it in the video description box. You'll see a link where you can support through PayPal. You can also support through Cash App. I have an event coming up for women. Some men are coming to this event too. It's geared for women, but the men are coming, so we welcome you with open arms. There are a lot of women bringing their significant others. And it's happening the last Saturday of September. I think it's September 26, 2020. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but it's the last Saturday in September. I'm doing my Grab a Girlfriend and Go annual walk. This year, the walk is going to be a guided virtual walk. So it's going to be aired live stream video, and you can walk with me from wherever you are. And the cool thing about it is it's totally free. The only thing I ask is that you get your t-shirt. So there is a t-shirt available on Teespring. You'll see the link in the video description box. And so what's going to happen is we're going to be walking on the same date at the same time, wearing the same t-shirt for the same cause. And the theme or cause of the walk is taking our lives back, taking our lives back. COVID-19 and all of the other issues that have ensued have taken so many things from us, our peace of mind, our hope, our joy. And so this walk is all about implementing simple self-care strategies to take some of those things back. And you get to choose your own walking route. So you can walk in your city, state, or country. You can walk to your favorite mall. You can walk to a municipal building, a hiking trail, your favorite coffee shop around the block, your friend's house. You can walk at home on a treadmill or in place. It's totally up to you. The key is that we're walking at the same time, on the same date, wearing the same t-shirt, the Grab a Girlfriend and Go t-shirt. And so I hope that you will all join me, as women and men now will be walking from all around the world to take our lives back. And you'll see it aired via live video stream. We're going to be airing it from Instagram. Let me give you my Instagram handle. That'll be helpful. So follow me on Instagram at the Cassandra